Yes, sir, I am ready. Do you want to unplug those headphones so it doesn't pick up any stray audio?
It won't. I have it all muted. All right, it's going live now. All right, people are tuning in.
All right.
All right.
We're live?
Yeah.
All right, we're live. Throw up that Instagram live just to
make sure.
Yeah, get a few comments, maybe get a few fan questions in on the inaugural podcast. Good. Hunter Avallone right behind the camera.
Alrighty. We are ready to launch.
We're ready to launch.
Yep, I'm going to keep this open here so we can read comments if we want to respond to viewers or anything.
Sure thing. Just set it on the table. It gives the table a worked on feel.
There you go.
All right.
Very cool.
We're live.
Right. We're live. The first podcast.
Yeah.
Wow. And it was really easy to set up.
Yeah. Before this, we spent like 4 hours trying to set up all the audio equipment and.
It's because we don't have a mixer, so we have to use the digital one. So it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I'm excited about this.
I am too.
This is cool.
I think this is going to be fun because you can talk about more broad subjects. You don't have those like time constraints. You're never worried about saving time. You just have an honest, open conversation.
Yeah, talk maybe a little bit more about your personal life. Let people kind of get to know you a little better. So
Yeah,
how you been, Hunter Avallone?
See, I was going to ask you that question first, Luke Staley.
I'm doing pretty well. I guess not everyone knows who I am. If you want to check out, Hunter and I have done a couple of videos on his channel where we hit the streets. We go troll some Antifa rallies, go to rallies in D.C., Philadelphia, all around. We even went to one in my home city of Fred. That was our first one. Do you remember that? How scared we were to approach people on the street?
It wasn't even a rally. We just were
we just walking around asking people questions. Yeah, because Hunter and I balance each other really well. Like, sometimes I have to push him out of his comfort zone, and sometimes
I have to push you to troll a little more.
Yeah. So actually, that's one of the first things I want to talk about is like people at school. I go to college. I'm a political science major there, English major, studying there, and I go
to the dreaded Hood College.
No, it's a great school, but it is a small liberal arts school, in a blue state, Maryland. So being a Republican on campus, it is a little difficult. I'm very politically active. I'm volunteering for local campaigns. I'm the vice president of the college Republicans there. And people will get very angry when I do stuff with you. So this will be exciting. I'm glad that this podcast. I have nothing to hide. Yeah.
People always get so triggered.
Yeah.
It's like we're just here having a honest conversation.
Yeah, and we have different opinions too.
Yeah. We have different opinions on trolling, really.
Yeah. I guess I'm a little less of a troll.
You are more into befriending the other side.
I just want to have a conversation.
You want to be best little friends.
I like to give them the courtesy that I like to be extended to me. Like, oh man, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of gun control, but why not? It's the podcast. So one of the things that I feel like, and trust me, I'm very conservative. I'm a huge advocate for the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. But I feel like the one subject that it gets under my skin a little that conservatives get really triggered about instantly is gun control. Mm-hmm. You say the word gun control and some of my friends will just freak out. And I guess the mentality is, as far as legislation goes, ground lost is ground lost forever, which is true. So I definitely understand. I appreciate advocates that stick up for the Second Amendment. But if ground lost is ground lost forever, if we lose bad ground, isn't that a good thing? Like bump stocks with that Las Vegas shooting.
I don't think that was a big deal though.
Well, no one should have.
Did you think it was wrong that they
banned bump stocks? Yeah, I think it was great that they banned bump stocks, right. And a lot of conservatives got really upset about that.
Right. So the thing is, sometimes conservatives, it's kind of like in a relationship, like you have to find compromise.
Exactly.
So it's like, if you just go out and you're like, no, don't even touch any of my guns, don't even put any kind of regulations on them, it's gonna be hard to find any common ground, because then you're on the more extreme side, just like the left is on the more extreme side of ban all guns.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that really bothers me, that I don't think a lot of people at my school get really angry at me and they assume all these things. Like they'll assume because I like the Second Amendment that I want like children to die in schools. Like we talked about that before.
where
So
they
they'll
go
jump from
like
A
one
to Z.
level.
You're like, do you support the Second Amendment gun rights? So you're like, yes, I do. Like, what? You want our children to die? I'm like, no, I don't. But then at the same time, if I want them to grant me that courtesy, I'm not going to then go, are you for gun control? Yes, I'm a strong gun control advocate. What? You want to take away all their guns? Well, no. I know that's not what they're saying, or at least I don't think it is. Some of them it is.
Well, some of them actually do
But
want to take away all.
Initially,
guns.
I'm going to grant them that courtesy.
Right.
I think
Actually let them explain their
Exactly.
perspective and their point, and don't just jump to
And
conclusions.
so people, when they associate me with you, they're like, oh, Luke must believe everything Hunter believes. And, for the most part, we have very similar political beliefs.
But that also kind of, sorry to interrupt, but that
Yeah.
also kind of reveals a problem a lot of liberals have, where they think you can't be friends with someone unless you agree with them 100%.
That's just where I was going to go with that.
Where you, like, I think that honestly, and maybe we're getting a little too controversial here, but I think that goes for a lot of religious people also, though. I think that if you, like, for example, if you, let's say you're a Christian, someone else is a Christian, but they kind of do something differently, this Christian will tell you you're bad because you didn't do it the way they would.
Yeah.
So it's like, just if you don't agree 100% with a person does not mean you can't be friends with them.
Exactly. And that's where I was going with that is like, I don't agree with everything Hunter says.
Mm-hmm.
The same as my, my liberal friends and people who definitely aren't, don't want to be friends with me who are liberal. They don't agree with all the same things that their friends believe with, that all their friends believe. And if you do believe everything that your friends believe, that's a bad sign because that means you're surrounding yourself with
It means you're
no
in a
one
fucking
of
echo chamber.
different opinions.
Right.
And that's
It's not healthy.
yeah.
Because that's what happens is these kids go off to college, they all are with their little friends, they kind of support their ideas, and then when they hear an outside idea, they either clam up and can't believe it, or what I've noticed a lot of leftists do is if they'll gang up on you because all their friends are just like, yeah, you go, and then before you know it, they walk away thinking they've won just because
Everyone
they kind of
agreed.
got you, just because they got you to shut
Yeah,
up.
don't surround yourself with all like-minded. Like Abraham Lincoln, he was famous for after Lincoln won an election, he would hire on his staff the people that he ran against in his cabinet because he
Really?
did not want to be surrounded by people who were all like-minded.
You don't want to be surrounded by yes men.
You don't want to be surrounded by yes men, and you don't want to be surrounded with, because people of the opposite side are, they see things differently than you. Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that probably once this podcast kind of takes off, we'll probably I would love to have some liberals on. Like,
Yes.
Some really like hardcore liberals.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yes, I make fun of them because a lot of them are radical and extreme. But if we were to sit down and have a conversation, I'm interested in just hearing who they are, or
Yeah.
why they think the way they think, or why they believe this way.
And it's good intellectual discussion.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Peterson or someone talking about how you can actually do personality tests and see like personality differences. Like there's empirical evidence, data that shows people with certain personality types who are this way tend to be more conservative, and people with different personality traits tend to be more liberal. So they literally need each other to balance each other out as much as sometimes the sides like to say they don't. Like,
Right. Hey,
it is
without
really
liberals,
necessary.
I might be out of a job.
Yeah.
It's kind of true though.
This is the only thing that you're good at. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I've tried a lot of other things. Did I ever tell you I did soccer when I was young?
No.
Oh man, I tried to do soccer. Well, either that or my parents forced me to do it. I forget, because my parents were forcing me to do shit all the time.
Yeah.
And so, because at the end of the day, they probably did think it was for the best of me. I know my parents were looking out for me.
It probably was for the best.
And I remember they would make me do soccer, and I hated it to the point that actually, because I just did it talked about in my last video about what a little pussy I used to be.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah,
I knew Hunter back in the dark ages, like back in the bad days.
Actually, Luke was one of the people that used to intimidate me.
Yeah, and that's weird because
I used to think you were always bullying me.
I was never meant to bully you. I mean, I wasn't. You were just really thin-skinned. But
You
thought I was Hunter thought I was really confident, but I was actually really insecure.
Well,
and just
I'll be honest,
overcompensating with my confidence.
Yeah, once I got a little older, I did kind of see through that a little bit, and I could tell I can tell Luke is just pretending to be confident because he's hiding insecurities.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I was saying about soccer anyway is I still remember at practice I fucked up or something to the point that I was almost crying. Like, I got all, like, emotional, and I still remember, like, no one really cared or noticed because it was, like, a stupid little league. Like, it was not anything serious like what you were involved in. And I was, like, and, like, trying to come down. I was, like, and I remember I was trying to save my ass, but it was not working. I mumbled. I was, like, man, these allergies. And because I remember I was, like, surrounded by all, like, my teammates or whatever, and they probably were all like, who is this fucking wimp?
No, I used to be...
I do remember. So when I first went for tryouts, again, like, anytime I don't want to do something and I'm forced to do it, I'd always had a bad attitude. It's been one of my biggest character flaws. And so my dad forces me to go to soccer, where it was only, like, tryouts, but, like, this was, like, a shitty little league. Like, no one really took it that seriously. It was, like, a family Christian little cheesy thing. And so I still remember, like, they were like, you have to kind of, like, kick the ball, just, like, let's see if you have, like, any skills at all.
Yeah, that's how it works, kicking the ball.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Pretty cut and dry. But anyway, I had my hands in my pockets. I was, like, walking, like, and my dad from the sidelines is like, take your hands out of your pockets. And I was, like, getting all embarrassed and mad. But, like, I was getting embarrassed that my dad was yelling at me. But in reality, I should have just been embarrassed with the way I was acting. Yeah. Because I was sitting there.
How old are you, though?
Oh, I had to have been old enough. I had to have been, like, 9 maybe? 9
That's
or 10.
pretty young. That's pretty young.
But, yeah, but still, I should have known better than to not be such a little bitch.
So,
it's really funny, though.
Yeah, and I used to be awful at soccer, actually. Like, I was on the worst teams. When I'd go try out, I'd make the lowest level team, and I just worked my butt off. Just, I wasn't as technically skilled as the other kids, so I was just ran, cardio. I was the workhorse, and then U13 and youth soccer is the big year for when it hops to the small field to the big field. It's kind of when, like, you start getting on a serious travel team, and I went from the lowest ranked team my U12 year to U13 being on the highest team, the A team, just through, like, just working at it, man. And honestly, what we were talking about me being insecure, one of the things I had to realize, and I was still really insecure all throughout high school, is, like, you have to come to grasp with your insecurities in order to grow.
Exactly.
And that's a hard thing to do.
You're right.
To look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm really bad at this, I'm really bad at this, I'm really bad at this. But if you hide the fact that you're bad at them to yourself, you're never going to grow.
And what happens is it just makes you more miserable, because rather than just facing the reality of it, you try to live in denial. Like, for me, I don't know if you remember, but I was really insecure because of how short I was.
Yeah.
And I didn't really start getting over that until finally, I don't even remember how it happened, but I remember, like, one day I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm short. I'm just going to own up to that and just move on and kind of, like, I mean, yeah, I didn't go around, like, promoting and, like, praising myself that I was short.
But you came to terms with it.
But I came to terms with it. I kind of owned up to it. And then it was a little while later that I did. I mean, I'm still not very tall, but I'm not, like...
And that's something that... And that's growth. That's something you can't help. And, that's being comfortable in your own skin. But as far as, like, self-improvement, like, internally for personality or playing a sport, that's tough, too. Oh, like, realizing what you're really bad at. And so, it took a long look in the mirror and just said, I'm not good enough. I have to change some things instead of making excuses. Yeah. And some people honestly never do that. I always figured when I went off to college, SJWs. A little bit. I think that's why this is why SJWs get so offended. Like, when someone tells you something you don't want to hear, if you don't want to hear it just because it's annoying and it's not true, it doesn't bother you. But when someone tells you something you don't want to hear and you secretly know it's true, that's when you get really bad.
And that's why the SJWs get so triggered, because deep down inside they know that you're right.
Yeah, and oh man, just like, I don't know why it is, but like some studies coming out about how and again, I'm not saying that I know plenty of super smart, hardworking, like, Democrats, but it's like young conservatives are, like, way high, like have a much more likely chance of being employed. Like,
Did you see there was a study? I don't know where it came from, but
yeah, the unemployment rate versus millennial Republicans versus millennial Democrats.
Right.
And I think that's one of a difference between this new generation of leftists, not Democrats, but leftists, and this new generation of conservatives is conservatives think if something happens, it's my fault. How do I fix it? Where this new generation of leftists think if something happens, whose fault is it and who can I blame?
And that's why they usually end up blaming society.
Yeah.
So, like, I talk about that a lot with the whole fat acceptance bullshit. Like, if you're walking around, overweight, instead of admitting that you got yourself into this mess, they blame society or claim that there's societal bias against me for being fat.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe you just shouldn't be fat.
Yeah, and that's a tricky one because, like, I do a lot of sports.
But see, I think that's, of all of them, the most non-tricky one, because being fat, now, yes, some people on some, like, rare occasions have, like, health problems that kind of cause them to gain weight, but nobody sitting around who is morbidly obese praising their body and saying that they're beautiful and all that shit have some kind of a disease. Most of the time, people who are overweight, it is due to their own choices.
Well, yes, yeah, for sure. New sort of like nutritional science is sort of showing it's more common than you'd think for people who it is harder for some people to lose weight and like
right. But when you look at these people that are like 300 pounds, and they're taking selfies in bikinis saying I'm beautiful and all, like Tess Holliday, for example.
Yeah, okay.
She doesn't have.
But I think they're real outliers. I think there's way more people in between. Yeah, but the loudest voice gets fed first. I don't think they're the majority.
Maybe not the majority, but they have the most influence.
Yeah, and one of the big problems with I think like a lot of people think like what should I look like to be healthy and have this image, but the question that you should ask is when I'm healthy, what does my body look like?
Right.
Because if you're eating healthy and working out, your body's gonna morph to the shape that it sits at when it's healthy.
Which is why I never understand why I've seen some of this leftist stuff where like people are saying they're fat and beautiful and all that. And she's like, I go to the gym all the time, but she's still like 300 pounds.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there is no one ideal image.
No, I agree with that. I mean, plus, if you want to look at it from like a attraction standpoint, everyone's attracted to different types. So, but like at the base of it, at the core, the reason people are attracted to slimmer or healthier, I wouldn't really say skinny, but I would say healthier bodies, is based on evolution. Because it's the most attractive to spread your DNA.
Yeah, wide birthing hips. That's what the...
Yeah, you told me that. I remember you. I probably kind of butchered it the way I just said it.
Yeah, it's like evolutionary biology and sort of how our brains kind of evolved over the years is really interesting because like we think we have like control over our own like thoughts and I guess we do. It's a lot of chemicals in our brain. Like I explained to you the thing about when you have a crush on someone and it's like you kind of have a crush on someone and then they get like a boyfriend and you're like, oh my gosh, I had a crush on her. And it's like, it's weird because you didn't before, but as soon as she got a boyfriend, she did.
Right, and she becomes more like appealing.
Yeah, and that's because like sort of the way we evolved is like men are supposed to find as many mates as possible, like to reproduce and make sure their genealogy sort of continues.
Right.
And that's how we're wired, but our brains don't think like that.
Because we're not cavemen.
So the way our brain kind of transforms it, I think it's like our id or our ego or super ego. And I'm not an expert on this, so I could be getting it a little choppy too.
We're talking very don't quote any of us.
But one of those things like makes like the primitive thoughts you have and turns them into like socially acceptable thoughts. So we see a girl, a potential mate, get snagged by another alpha male, so chemicals release in our brain that says go get that mate back. So then the way that is manifested in our brain is, oh my gosh, I had a crush on this girl, I need to get her back. But you don't really.
Did you ever have an awkward high school crush, Luke?
Oh my gosh, I had so many. I don't want to talk about high school. It was embarrassing. It was really bad, man.
You saw me when I had awkward high school crushes.
Man, but you were homeschooled. I went to public school, just this jungle of like social hierarchies and just embarrassment and oh my god.
Okay, here's a good question. Do you think it was good for me that I was homeschooled? Because in hindsight, part of me wishes I had gone to public school so I wouldn't have been so sheltered for so
I don't know. You developed pretty...
But if you look back in high school, I was a major pussy.
You went crazy for a couple months. Do you remember? Like when you first started drinking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did start going really crazy.
You were like, me and your friends like, Hunter, you're becoming an alcoholic. And you're like, no, I'm not. I just like to drink alone. But you weren't kidding. You were like, you didn't know. You were just
I remember, yeah. I would sit in my room and do like 8 shots. And just like hang out, listen to music. Yeah, and you just end up just passing out in bed.
You'd Snapchat and you'd be like, yeah. And then Like,
I still remember the first time I got sick though. Oh man, I was hanging out with a friend of mine. I think this was over at their house. And I had Burnett's, which is like the cheapest vodka. I don't know if you ever used it, drank it before. It's utter shit. Like, it's disgusting. And we were like, we should get fucked up or whatever. And so we were playing like dubstep and stuff. And the problem with alcohol, anyone who drinks knows this, is when you get drunk, you want to drink more because you're like, I feel good, I want to do more. But then when you do more, it starts to make you feel bad. So I ended up doing, I think it was 13 shots of Burnett's in under an hour. And holy shit. First, like, I was blacking out a lot. So I went from chilling like on the couch, just thinking like, all right, this is all cool, to like being on the side of like the couch, trash can in front of me, throwing up everywhere all night long.
Yeah.
Like, it was...
You start praying even if you're not a Christian. You're like, God, if you get me through this, I'll pledge my life to you.
It was scary because it was obviously no longer fun. And I was so drunk, like I was confused. I didn't know like what was going on. And man, that should have been a red flag that I was becoming an alcoholic, because the next day Seth is like, you probably never want to drink again, do you? And I was like, well, I don't want to drink that much.
So, I remember, like, I didn't drink at all in high school. I was such a weirdo in high school, my gosh. I mean, it's not weird if you don't drink in high school, but I didn't get invited to any parties. But, I remember in college, like, my first college party, I was really nervous to drink, and I don't really drink anymore because, like, for those of you who don't know, I do amateur MMA, amateur mixed martial arts, and that requires you to have like a really strict diet, especially when you're training for a fight. And I try to fight 3 or 4 times a year. I have my third fight this year and my fourth fight in a calendar, or third fight in the calendar year and my fourth fight in a 365-day year. So like coming up in October 13th. So I'm just always training for that. So I, not drinking, gotta eat really clean. Which sucks. But my freshman year, I remember I was like at my first party, I was like, I don't really want to drink, and everyone was drinking, and I was like, all right. So I just had like a little bit of alcohol, and obviously I had no tolerance because I was buzzed. And we were on the 3rd floor of an apartment building. It was a soccer party. The soccer team invited, a bunch of beautiful girls and guys, and hanging out, having fun. And the cops were called. And if you've ever been to a college party and the cops are called, unless it's really getting out of hand, they knock on the door. They say, hey, guys, please turn down the music. And, come on, guys.
They
be
don't
smart.
come in there and, like, raid the party? Like,
no.
Because that's how Hollywood
No.
is.
If you're respectful to, like, the police officers, like, they're really good at their jobs. And, they make sure that everyone stays safe is, like, the number one priority. They don't want people to, like, start drinking. And if they're drinking, hop in their cars and run off and everything.
Right.
And so they just make sure everything's, like, guys, turn down the music. If anyone's underage, kick them out. And, we're on our way. But I didn't know that. So all the freshmen were like, cops! And this is the first time I was drinking, so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose all my scholarships. I had like half a beer probably. I was like, I'm going to lose all my scholarships, and I'm going to get arrested, and I'm going to go to jail. So I ran in this room and hid under the bed, but it was like a raised up bed with a desk underneath, so I was tucked in the corner, so I was pretty well hidden, because it looked like the bed wasn't that deep, like there wasn't much space, and I squeezed in, so people wouldn't look there, and I'm hiding there for so long, and like, I'm like there for like 30 minutes. Everyone's probably like going about their thing, and I'm just in this room, and like the captain of the soccer team and this girl like walk into the room.
Oh shit. They start going at it?
I heard them talking, and like I was like really nervous, so I was like, I won't say his last name, but I was just like, his first name was it's like Julie, and he's like, what the fuck? And he like looked into the bed. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, are they gone? He's like, yeah. He gave me a hug. He's like, it's okay, buddy. And then he like,
were you
sent me out of the room. I don't even think, I was just like so terrified, and like he thought it was pretty funny, but he was just like, ah. He's like someone under the bed, and he's like, the thing is, I almost didn't say anything because I was so embarrassed about hiding under the bed, but I was like, if I wait this out, it's gonna get so much worse.
You're right. If they start having sex right here, I'm gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
Oh man,
good guy,
so
Julie.
Crazy.
What a guy.
See, since I was homeschooled, I didn't have to deal with any awkward stuff like that because I never left the house.
Yeah, but you had a little little apartment area. Like his parents, how you explain it. You have like a little garage and a side room.
Oh right. Well, I mean, before I moved into the apartment I'm in now, I rented that little room off. So there was our garage, and then off the garage there was like this big room, and it was first put on the house as supposed to be like a work room, because when we first moved in it had concrete floors, and so we put up like carpet, we painted it, made it just like feel like a rec room, but it was pretty big. I mean, it's big enough for,
and that's where you lived for
like
better part of a year, probably
almost a year. Yeah, because I remember when you first came over, you were helping me set it up, and it was kind of cool in there.
Yeah, it was really fun. They probably don't know the story of like how our friendship materialized, like how we met.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to tell them how? So we've known each other for a long time, but you can tell kind of from.
I'll be completely honest, even about my little suspicions I had at the very first, because so what happened was, anytime we would bump into each other, whether it be like a party or like a co-op thing, you were always like talking down at me. Because that was just your style. Like you were kind of like fucking around with me.
Probably. I probably did it to everyone just because I was like a little...
No, you definitely targeted me a little more.
Oh, wait. I did because
you thought I was a pussy.
No, well, you were an easy...
I was an easy target. That's fair.
If like someone cracked a joke at me, I'd be like, ha ha ha, good one, like back at you. And if you cracked a joke at Hunter, you'd be like, so.
But no, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
but see,
you would.
the last time, before we became friends, it was 2016. By then, I was doing YouTube, and I was way out of, like, I'd gotten a lot out of my shell by then. I wasn't all, like, sensitive anymore.
Yeah, you were throwing little parties at your house, yeah.
Okay, that was bullshit.
They were fun. I had fun.
Those parties were such shit, Luke. I remember. Okay, I need to tell you this because I've never told you this, and I just remembered it now. So, remember we had that little room off the garage before I moved in it. For those watching those didn't know, we just kind of used it as a rec room. Like it would always get to be a mess in there. We'd just go in there, clean it up every like few months, and just like hang out. And then we just lose interest again. It was kind of like back and forth, and we would throw these, and I say this in quotations, parties. Which was literally just playing music. Like 5 people showed up. It was just super awkward and uncomfortable the whole time.
And no alcohol.
No
alcohol. Soda pop.
Soda, yeah.
Just and your siblings snacks. Would be there, yeah.
My siblings, my parents would be. It was.
They were just like little gatherings. I had fun. But
anyway,
you were too worried about impressing people. They were cool.
But I remember we were playing apples to apples or something, and you were making fun of us.
No, I don't remember this.
You were like. You're the type of people that would throw away the card that says sexy because it says sex in it. And we literally did do that. And so when you said that, I was like, whatever. But like inside, I was like, shit, he's right. And it was.
And remember at your birthday party?
Wait, which birthday party?
The one where they made you watch Avengers on Clear Play.
Oh, shit. So can we tell the audience about this? We had this DVD player called Clear Play, and it was like the faggiest thing. Like only homeschoolers used it. And you'd set a filter so it like knew when the curse words were, so it would like mute it out. And I still remember it was my 16-year-old birthday, and I remember being like, Dad, can I please I already saw the movie in theaters. I don't need.
And it's the Avengers. It's not
exactly. I was like, I thought this was so stupid. I was like, I do not need Clear Play, and then. He like made me use it for some reason. And then I was trying not to make a big deal because I was so embarrassed about it.
And I didn't know this, by the way.
And then Luke was like, "Wait a minute."
they go in the movie. Someone says like, "What the hell" or something.
No, they said, "Shut up."
Oh, say shut up, and it like bleeped it out, and I was like, "Go ahead."
And Luke is like, "Wait a minute, did your Clear Play just mute out 'shut up'?" So I'm there with all the guys trying like. I was having a really hard time fitting in for the longest time, so like I'm trying to look cool, trying not to embarrass myself, and Luke is just shouting, "Did they bleep out 'shut up'?" And like
I didn't know.
And I was like sitting there just like I don't know, like because I was like now everyone's gonna know we were using Clear Play.
Oh man!
You know what? I think I even got it set up on the menu so no one could tell I had Clear Play enabled because I was so embarrassed. Because it was so stupid. Like, Avengers. You don't need Clear Play for Avengers.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I nuclear play for myself.
Yeah. So, but how we met? So we were both homeschooled. I went to high school to play soccer. Yeah, and I wasn't a bad soccer player either. I played, started off 4 years in my varsity team, was a captain. I was such an a-hole. I was way too competitive. I didn't understand what it meant to be a good teammate, but I was good. You know, I played all 4 years and played collegiately. I played some low-level semi-pro even too. Okay. I digress. Whatever. So I was homeschooled all the way up to high school. So Hunter and I knew each other. You moved here, right?
Moved to Frederick, and we met at co-op.
We met at co-op, which is like a homeschool group where homeschoolers come and take like
super homeschooled.
Yeah, it is really homeschooled, and
I still remember bumping into Noah. I won't say his last name.
Yeah, he's a Marine now. He's kicking ass.
Really? Wow,
yeah,
he could kick my ass. So
he's doing good.
It's weird because I respect him for serving our country, but I don't like him.
He's different. He's still a wild man, but he's not like
like he used to be. Now, honestly,
I mean, he's older.
I feel like me and him would get along now.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so you hated me.
I hated you. I hated you and Noah.
I hated you. I didn't hate you. We got into this argument. You used the word fag, and it made. I was just like, I was like, there's no need to use that. And then he said, what did you say? What are you gonna do?
I still remember what happened. I was so mad at you that day because this is again I kind of hated you because I always felt intimidated by you and felt like you and Noah were ganging up on me
and in hindsight, in fairness,
we really kind of were.
I was gonna say we really weren't.
I mean, okay, the only time I remember that I was kind of, but again, like it was just guys like fucking around.
Yeah.
But like I remember you and Noah like grabbed my feet and like dragged me across the gym.
Yeah, but we did that to like each other. That's all we did was like wrestling.
So I came from a really sheltered environment where like that just didn't happen. And so you guys were, in your mind, you're like, oh, we're fucking around. Yeah. Which, in all fairness, you totally were.
Yeah.
But in my sensitive little mind, I was like, oh my God, I'm being bullied. But I remember someone was
I'm sorry I bullied you.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just a poor little victim.
Yeah.
But I remember someone was talking shit about me. And somehow I knew that like you knew what they were saying or something. I don't remember what it was, but I called you and I was like, hey! I was like, hey, like, people are talking shit about me. What are they saying? Because I was pissed off. And then you were, except I didn't swear back then. So it's probably like, people are talking crap. So, but and then you were so condescending to me. You were like, Hunter,
wait a second. We had a conversation about this because this was like the one time I actually like said something You
were right, but also the way you said it was wrong.
Probably, yeah.
Because again, wrong from my perspective then. I was still sensitive. Yeah. I was still a sissy.
I was like, you're so sheltered.
You were like, there's a real world out there, Hunter. And I was like, screw you, faggot. And then you were like, why are you hating on gay people, Hunter?
Yeah.
And it was just like, got me so mad. I was like, ugh. Like, I was acting like such an SJW.
Yeah, I was like, there's no need to use that word. And you're like, what are you gonna do? Sue me, preacher boy? What did you say? I was like, hey man, it's like, this is not like, I was like, I've always been like off and on religious. My relationship with God, sort of sense of what the college has really matured, and him and I are really close now. But I was like lukewarm. But I guess like right before I went to high school, I was still homeschooled. My faith was pretty strong. I really lost God in high school. It was a rough time. But I was like, hey, like no need to use that. Like Jesus loves everyone, and you're like,
what did I even?
You said something like, what are you gonna do? Sue me, preacher boy, or something? And for some reason that got under my skin, so I blocked your number. And then you tried to block me on Instagram, but I didn't have an Instagram, so you blocked like my 9-year-old brother because you were scared I was gonna like use his Instagram to stalk you or something.
Oh, and then, I'm so embarrassed by this.
You like,
I'm so embarrassed.
You either followed him or like liked one of his photos. I don't know how it works. And he like tried to follow you back, and he's like 16. He's like, Hunter blocked me. You know why? I was like, oh, he blocked you like 5 years ago, and it's my fault. I'm so sorry. So.
And I still remember that was just recently. I was like, oh, I need to unblock him.
Yeah.
That was a really embarrassing time in my life because I just used to be a beta. I used to be a pussy. Mm-hmm. I used to be a coward, and I was offended by everything, and I was a sissy. I don't even know like how I came out of that. Like, I think getting a job at the clothing store really helped me out.
Yeah.
Because it helped me be around people that were like much more cultured, and it like really forced me to stop being weird.
I think our friendship too, honestly.
Yeah, but by the time me and you started hanging out again,
Really? Because I remember I was like, hey, it's like ask her to, that one chick. I was like,
oh my god,
ask her to send you. She was like, this is girl that obviously like Hunter, and she was like sending like some like kind of revealing selfies like, and I was like, gosh, I was such an idiot. I was like, I thought it was like it made you cool to get girls, which it really doesn't. I mean.
and you were like,
ask her to send her a picture of your butt, and you were like,
her butt,
of her butt, of her butt. I was like, and you were like, ooh, you're
I was like,
no, I can't. And then what happened later?
Yeah, I lost my virginity to her.
you bought a
Shut the fuck up. That's not even appropriate for
to
this
a
thing.
state that's very far away.
Yeah, that was a weird. See, that was a weird time in my life.
That was a weird time. I mean,
because that like
Hunter doesn't believe in God, but I definitely do, and God really brought us together at like a really weird time in our life because we really needed it.
I still remember you talked to me about, because this is when I was starting to really like fall out with God,
Mm-hmm.
like where
we were on opposite trajectory. So I was really strong in my faith. No, I was kind of strong in my faith, and sort of on my way upward, and you were on your way downward.
Right, because I had been kind of stronger in my faith when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then as I started to get older, I just started to feel more like let down by God, I guess.
Yeah.
And just kind of feel like maybe it was a sham. And so, yeah, I mean, I remember we sat at Cold Stone, which now it makes me really want Cold Stone.
I remember too. We had like a talk for like an hour.
We had a really cool talk on like just God and everything, and like, is he real and stuff. That was a cool time though.
And I was like, Hunter, I can tell you right now that I'm gonna wait till May.
Oh yes, I get to tell this story?
Oh my
because
gosh,
it's so funny.
My mom's gonna watch this podcast.
Luke told me, because I was thinking like for my whole upbringing.
I'm not proud of this, by the way. I had. Go ahead.
For my whole upbringing, I was taught like, don't have sex until you're married.
Yeah.
That was like, I was raised in a very homeschooled Christian environment. Everyone knows this. That was my upbringing. Like, do not have sex till you're married. Now, by the time it was August 2016, I remember.
Yeah.
And I was starting to kind of have a falling out with God. I was starting to really be like, I'm getting older. Like, I don't want to just wait till marriage to have sex. And so we started talking. I talked to you, and you were like, Hunter, I know for a fact I'm going to be waiting till I'm married to have sex. And then you showed me like this video of some dude who like was like a football player.
It was Russell Westbrook, and it was really cool because Russell Westbrook is a good-looking man, and his wife is gorgeous, and they were talking about how they really honored God in their marriage, and they both waited till marriage.
Right.
And I was like, that's cool. That's like a role model that I'm looking up to. And that was like probably maybe cool for you too.
I was like, okay, it was interesting to see that side of things being shown as like kind of cool.
He's an NFL Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Right, exactly.
Beast.
And then
shout out.
It was my birthday, November, so it's been like a couple months. We were at
like
IHOP.
2 months later,
Yeah, we'd been at IHOP, and I was like, hey, how's that virginity thing going? And you're like, oh, I slept with a girl yesterday or the other day or whatever. And I was like, Luke, what the hell? Like, you're the one that told me not to.
My freshman year of college was it was rough, man. I was like, I was really.
But see, at that point, I was laughing because you went back on what you said.
Yeah.
But like, I'd already made up my mind that I was gonna sleep with that other girl. So, I don't know.
So we sort of got close, and the reason that I kind of became friends with Hunter is like I've got like a really go-getter personality. Like I just want to like I want to be ambitious. I don't know if I am. I want to achieve. I'm never settling. Complacency is the killer of ambition. If you think you've done something good and you're going to rest on that, you're going to stay there forever. You just got to accomplish a goal, pat yourself on the back, and then get it behind you, set the next goal. And that's always how I've been. And then what I saw is like Hunter and I had I blocked this number. I wasn't even talking to him. And
I didn't actually, I never knew you blocked me.
Yeah, you never bothered texting me probably. Or maybe you did, I don't know. Anyways, but I saw your YouTube channel, and I admired him for building something from scratch. It was like, we're very different people. I mean, I'm probably more similar now.
But we're both really we're
compatible.
But we're also like really
well balanced.
What's the word? No, like motivated and like inspired.
Ambitious?
Ambitious,
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. We're both, and I think that's why we get along.
We're hungry.
Now.
Yeah, and so I had, even though I wasn't friends with Hunter at that point, and he probably had like 50,000, if that. But I was like
70,000.
He built this from scratch, and I was just like, mad respect for that dude. And I just
so proud of myself.
Yeah, and I just thought it was so cool. It was something I admired. Like, he went out and worked for it.
Right.
Blue collar, went out on the grind. He wanted something, and he went out and took it. To digress real quick.
Yeah.
me and my father were talking about this the other day. If you want something, there's a simple equation for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's y plus t equals x. X is the thing you want. It's attainable. You know, a healthier body, to run a marathon, to start a YouTube channel. X. That's X.
Right.
Y is the work required to do that, and T is the amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's luck. Luck can factor into that. So luck can make the Y or the T lower. So with luck, you can spend less time and less work to get X. But it's a simple equation. X, Y amount of work plus over a certain amount of time will give you what you want. I promise you. And it's not an even equation. Two people could want the same thing, and one person could have to work way harder.
Right. That's
way harder.
Especially if you start off
and spend
bored.
off way more time. But it is attainable.
Oh yeah, that's
just
the beauty
you
of
have
America.
to go out and do it. I mean, I was really bad at math. I think because people told me I was. People told me I was bad at math, but I was like, I'm not gonna take this. And so, like my senior year of high school, I was like, I went to my counselor, and most seniors will coast their senior year of high school. They'll take easy classes. I was like, what is the hardest math class in the school? And she was like, probably AP Physics. And I didn't even have all the prerequisites for AP Physics. I had to get a special note. And I was like, sign me up for that class. And it just about damn near killed me. And I got a B. And I was happy with that.
That's pretty good, though.
Yeah. And then,
I was the worst at math also.
I went into college, took an easy level math course. After AP Physics, I was done for math. But I just needed to prove that to myself.
Right.
Like, if you want something,
You
no matter
can
what
work
people
for it.
tell you, no matter where you start, you can just go out and get it, but you have to just decide. Like, I
Right,
want
and you
this.
have to be willing to work really hard, and you also have to be willing to, not expect results right away.
Yeah, expect failure.
I think that, I mean, you know, your story with the math thing is maybe not, better than like my little YouTube story, whatever. But I mean, when I first started YouTube, I was doing those cheesy skits with my siblings,
Yeah.
and I remember back then I wanted some popularity.
Yeah,
I
like
wanted
10,000 subscribers would have been amazing.
I wanted it so bad, but like it just wasn't the right time for it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I wasn't putting in the right amount of work because I wasn't posting enough, and I just wasn't doing enough. And then I started the channel that I have now, and even then I was only posting a video every other week.
Yeah,
So it was really kind of like I wasn't putting in as much work as I could have, but then and part of it was also I was trying to find myself on YouTube, like who did I want to be, what did I want to be talking about, like what did I want this channel to be on, because I was kind of just doing random shit, and then politics, like I've always been like passionate about stuff.
Yeah, my mom actually, for politics.
That's right, your mom was a huge help in that, because it was 2013.
You created a monster, Mom.
2013. At co-op, I was taking the current events class with her, and I loved the class every time. Like, I was so excited to go. I remember every time it was over, like I didn't even want it to end because I hated all my other classes except for that one. And I loved talking politics and everything. And
Found your passion. Yeah,
that's kind of my passion right there.
and back to what we went on a little tangent, but like even though we weren't friends, I was like mad respect. Like Hunter went out and worked for it, and I gave you a call. I was like, hey, dude. That YouTube channel is really cool. Like, maybe we get along now. I don't know. You
were like, maybe we should hang out. And I remember, like, part of me was like, does he just want to hang out now that I, like, have some followers on YouTube or whatever? But then right after we hung out, it was obvious that's not, like, what you were trying to do.
Yeah, honestly, I think, like, God's hand was over it a little. Like, I don't know what I do.
Coincidence.
You are a really good friend, man.
Yeah, no, we've become really good friends, especially over the past few years, because I remember actually when I lost my virginity, you were the first person I called. I was like, dude, guess what? Because I didn't really have anyone else I could call and talk to you about that.
Yeah.
But it was funny.
Yeah. And then for what Hunter was saying, he made a good point about consistency. If you want something, I don't care what it is. It can be grades. It can be athletics. It could be
getting in shape.
Getting
That's
in
something
shape.
I really want that I'm not. That I haven't been dedicating myself.
Getting in
to
shape. It's consistency, and it's hard work, and it's being around when your hard work pays off.
Mm-hmm.
Some people quit
right
before they get their reward. It's a marathon.
And that's the thing is, some people I feel like they quit right before.
You never know. Oh man, like mixed martial arts, it really like this in MMA. Like the top level pros, they have like 20 or 30 fights sometimes before they get to the UFC. And for those of you who don't know, mixed martial arts, the sport, if you guys watch it, it's like what the UFC does. And the UFC isn't the sport. Mixed martial arts is the sport, and the UFC is like what the NFL is to football, the UFC is to MMA. So like those fighters who are in the UFC, some of them have 20, 30 fights before they get there. And some of them have like 10, 12 losses on their record. And it can be tempting with anything in life. I don't care what it is, no matter how small, asking that girl you think is cute out, just eating healthy every day. I don't care what it is in life. If you are not failing more than you are succeeding, that means you're not trying enough.
Right.
If someone is succeeding more than they're failing, they're having maybe 1 or 2 successes a week. If someone is failing more than they're succeeding, they're having 20 failures a week and 3 successes. That's how it is.
Because they're trying more.
Yeah, if you're not trying, you're not going to fail.
Right.
And that's better for some people. They don't want to fail.
It's better to fail than not try.
Yeah, talk about that for YouTube. Like how many times you've been discouraged.
Oh, yeah.
It's fail. And then you get that success. And once you find the formula for that, now you know how to keep
what
going
happened
forward.
was I kind of figured out the formula before I realized I'd figured it out. So, I don't know if you've ever looked back at my really, really old videos. They were super cheesy. They were just like...
I don't even watch your new videos.
My channel lacked direction. Like, it was all, like, just kind of random stuff. It was just, like, stupid pictures online or, like, embarrassing moments. Like, it was just, like, dumb. Like, because I started off doing YouTube trying to be like that, like, relatable teen YouTuber, kind of. It was just really faggy. And it was... What?
No need to use that word, honey.
Shut the fuck up. But then I did a video how to be a liberal. And because I'd been a little bit more aware of politics, and I was like, I'm gonna do how to be a liberal and like make fun of liberals in like this fake tutorial. And I mean, it blew up for the time.
Yeah.
When I say blew up, I mean it got like 10,000 views in a week.
And it clicked for you.
And it clicked for me. I loved making it. And then what happened was, it was near the end of 2015 where I was really starting to like figure out that I really liked controversy. I liked being able to present an argument and then see people, whether they were arguing or just talking about it, like reading comments, like I started this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was really cool. And so I remember what I would do then is I would do like my controversial type videos, which were like politics, anything where I like was voicing my opinion one week, and then the other week I would do something that like wasn't political. And I found myself just wanting to get through these weeks where I didn't have anything political. I was like, man, I just want to like do more politics. Like I wish I didn't have to. I almost was like, I wish I didn't have to do this video so I can get on to the next one that I'm more excited about. And finally, I did 8 Reasons I Hate Feminism, which was at the end of 2015. And that was like, that picked up some views. Again, not really many compared to now, but like, it was definitely substantial compared to my previous views. And
yeah, and look at you. How many views do you have that have broken 1 million? Like,
on my whole channel?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm almost to 100 million.
Yeah, and then like just videos themselves that have broken 1 million views.
Right. I
Like
have,
your
4 or
success
5
now
videos
is just...
Yeah, but like,
And
I hope that I look back at this time now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I love about you. It's like some people be like, "Oh man, I made it." It's like, no. It's like I hope I have 2 million views on however many.
I want to.
videos.
What I'm gonna be really now. I say this again. Like YouTube is a lot like money. Like you never have enough money. For me, I never have enough views, no matter what it is. But like, if I was breaking 1 million per upload, kind of like Steven Crowder,
Yeah.
at that point I'd be like. Then maybe I'd be like, all right, like I'm starting to feel like the success of this. But
Maybe.
for right now, I'm still like on the total grind.
Yeah,
like,
but for
majorly on the hustle.
for people who like want to start a YouTube channel or want to get in shape, start eating healthier or something, like you just started it and you just went consistently and like look at you now. You're gonna get better, no question. You're gonna get bigger, and I'm excited for you.
I hope.
But you have success now, and it just came from cutting your teeth day in and day out. I mean, I'm sure you were tempted to quit a couple times.
Maybe not quit, but like
discouraged.
I was discouraged when I would just post video after video, and they were averaging like 3,000 views, and I was like, how do I get like bigger? How do I get more views? How do I get like more attention? And then finally, like I said, I did the How to Be a Liberal video, which started to kind of blow up a little bit. Then 8 Reasons I Hate Feminism blew up. And I was like, all these videos that are like more controversial are doing really well. And then it wasn't until I did The Truth About Transgenders that I had like 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers at the time, which again, I mean, I went from my previous channel, which hit 1,000. I thought that was big. So to be hitting 7,000 subs, I was like, I'm almost at 10K. Like, I'm actually kind of starting to gain some followers here. And then that Truth About Transgenders video, yeah, it put me in a ton of heat, and it got me.
Was that the one that started your feud with BuzzFeed?
Oh, I never had a feud with BuzzFeed.
Or the one where BuzzFeed started having a feud with you. Like, didn't they like write an article about you or something? Like,
BuzzFeed never did, but some other ones did. Not any as big as BuzzFeed, but a
Okay.
lot of like queer newspapers did like articles on me, like hit pieces. And I remember I would just wake up in the morning and just Google my name, and there'd be like a new article out,
and that's
like,
weird. I don't mind controversy at all.
I
love
don't either. But when you're under that much
political,
like
but you like it a little.
But here's what happened.
Okay.
Here's what happened. The video started getting just bombed with dislikes. It had way more dislikes than likes. And so that was a little discouraging for me because I was like, shit, like everyone kind of hates me.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I did at the end of the day like it. And I remember, this is no hate to my dad at all. My dad's a great person and he really does support me. But it was getting so much controversy. Friends were calling up my mom and were like Hunter said this, da, da, da. Like my dad came down and like you could tell he was sort of like frustrated. And I was like, you want me to delete the video, don't you? And he was like, I kind of do. Because my dad, he does support me, but he's much more, he would rather avoid confrontation. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not taking the video down. I was like, I remember I just thought to myself, like, I'm standing my ground with this one because I believe in what I said. And I didn't disable comments. I didn't disable dislikes. I just sat there. I was like, I'm just going to take the heat. And honestly, you're right, because I did enjoy it. Because at first, you know, when you're in it, you do have a little bit of like, what if this is like, what I started worrying is that it was going to be the end of my channel, or that every video I posted would get just bombed with dislikes, and then I'd be like kind of just like universally hated, not really going anywhere.
Yeah, more than you are now.
Right. But then I was like, I'm just going to stick to this, and I'm really glad I did, because that video pushed me over 10,000 subs. And because that's how it works. It's like, just if even though you're getting a lot of hate, you're going to bump into a few people that are actually agreeing with you. And before you know it, it was like a huge video. I mean, now it doesn't have 1 million views even now, but I would consider it viral in the sense that it was in like media, like people were doing video responses to me. Like it was almost like the internet's punching back.
And that was sort of, was that a success or a failure to you?
Oh, I think that of that.
Yeah, and so that's one of those things that like pushes you over. And like, how many times maybe before then were you tempted to quit and stuff like?
Right,
that's
and then
what I
all
mean
of a
by
sudden I'm
pushing
like, here I am getting like 100,000 views on it, which back then, I mean, if you have 7,000 subs, you're getting 100,000 views. That's a lot. And actually, my work called me, and so I worked at a clothing store in the mall. I don't want to say any names, and they called me up, and it was corporate. And I was like, I'm getting fired. I was like, this is going to be like, you know, where people voice their opinions and get fired. I was like, I'm fucked. So I answered it, and I was so nervous because here's the thing. I wasn't earning any revenue on YouTube at the time.
This is your job, yeah.
This was my job at the time. Like, YouTube was just my hobby. And so I'm like so nervous. I was like, oh shit.
And how old are you at this time?
I had to have been, I think I was 19.
19 years old.
So I was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. So it's a dude in corporate, and he was really nice. So I was kind of expecting, and he was like, hey, Hunter, we just want to let you know we saw the video. Because I also had a follow-up video where I was like, it's not hate speech. It's like this, just voicing my opinion or whatever. They're like, we also saw the follow-up video where you said it's not hate speech. We just want to ask that you remove the fact that you work for our company from your Facebook, because they were taking heat. So like the hate mob, what's funny is I don't feel like the views reflected how much attention it seemed to be getting, but like it was getting so much hate, so much controversy that the company I worked with was like,
and it's
hate. Like people were like,
it's a really big company.
It's a massive, like
it's
a company
huge.
that you probably all shopped at. So
that
like,
you most definitely have all shopped at, and they had a
Right.
corporate call, a 19-year-old with
And they were
7,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
10,000 once they pushed. Yeah.
Right. And they were like, we want you to, they just wanted me to remove the fact that I worked there because they were taking heat. And I was like, man, how crazy are people? Like, And then what was funny too is actually I put the video up, right? It cracked over 16,000 views at first, which again, my channel was small, like 16,000 views for like 5,000 subs.
Yeah.
I was like, this is really good. It wasn't until 2 weeks of it being up that it actually started getting all this attention because some news articles started putting it in their stuff. Yeah, and before I knew it, it's just like everywhere. And there's still this idea now because of that video, which is unfortunate. There's still this idea that like I'm anti-LGBT or that I hate transgender people, whereas I've done my best now to like clarify as much as I can. Like it's a sensitive topic. It's a sensitive topic, and I didn't handle it sensitively. And a lot of people ask, they're like, now that you're older, is there anything you'd change? And what I would say with that one video, The Truth About Transgenders, a lot of it I still like. I was trolling. I had a lot of like my signature humor in there where I was pretending to be like a sofa sexual or whatever. But what I wish that I had done different is I come off very angry and seeming very bitter, whereas now
you used to, you'd be like, this is the reason why. Yeah,
I was like Tommy Lauren, where it's like, and I don't really care what you think, but this is the fact.
Except,
and
and you didn't curse back then either. It's just
so
like,
it was just cringy, like you can't.
Yeah, very cringy, like.
Right, like what I'm saying, a lot of it I still like, but how
your
my delivery,
just this angry 19-year-old,
right? It's just like
with gelled up hair, Google Plus selfies.
And now, if you notice, like my content now, it's a lot more laid back. Because, in all honesty, when I see liberals now, I laugh. I think they're an amusement, leftists. When they make fools of themselves, I laugh. I like to make fun of them. I don't want, it doesn't really anger me. There's still some things that piss me off, not gonna lie. But and I express that on my channel. But it was just crazy.
And then it makes, if you're more rational, more level-headed, it makes the times when you do get angry have that much more weight.
Right, and it's exactly. So when I get pissed off, people know. They're like, okay, this is a little more serious.
Yeah, and that's like good advice for anyone listening. It's like,
I mean, I was
don't always be shouting.
Yeah.
Whether it's like physically in your social life, metaphorically shouting.
I just dislike Tommy Lauren. I can barely get through her videos. She is so cringy and painful to watch. She's like, don't make sure. She's like, and I don't really care what you think, but Black Lives Matter, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, chill. Like, she seems like a robot when she
and that I feel like creates more division. Before we
get away from it, a lot of people hate Tommy Lauren.
You touched on a really good point about learning experiences. And I wanted to like clarify this for anyone. Like, when I talked about, just going back, because before we got away from it, I wanted to say, talking about failing, when you fail, learn from your failures. Because it's good to fail and learn and fail and learn and fail and learn, but if you're failing for the same reasons, that's bad.
Right.
That is bad.
That is bad. Yes. You don't. That's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
But like, if you do learn, you're just gonna grow as a person so much. And like I said, if you're not failing more than you are succeeding, you're not doing it right because you're not trying enough.
You're right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And it really is, consistency.
Consistency matters, but then also being willing to adapt and change. Like what I try to now. My last video, for example, was like that was a fail. Now I know that it was a fail. I know that that's not really what my audience is interested in, and I'm going to learn from that and then improve my content and continue to make it better. But I'm always looking for ways to improve and just be better.
Yeah, we tried to start a company a couple years ago and it failed. We didn't.
Yeah. Well, we tried to do the news thing.
Yeah, and we had like a $30,000 eval. It was going to be pretty big.
We had a $30,000 what?
The company, we had like a $30,000 like evaluation of the company. We mapped it out.
Oh yeah, we thought we had like a lot. We thought we were going to be at
We did. We didn't realize how much work it was going to be or how much capital we needed
and just how much time. Like we had a really hard time.
And we went pretty far into it. Like we went and got contacts. We were getting people's numbers. We were going to DC like every weekend for like a month.
Well, no, I mean we went to the DC for that dinner thing.
But then we went down for the that conservative.
Right, that's right. We were just constantly looking for
networking.
Yeah,
and
it just
didn't work.
I forget, what were you gonna call it again?
American Perception.
We should still hold on to that name.
Yeah,
that's a good name actually.
Yeah,
copyrighted.
But like, how many like I'm 20, you're 21. Yeah. How many 20-year-olds can say they tried to start a company? Like even if I failed, I'm fine with that.
And hey, at least like I mean, we have a lot of other stuff we've done that is successful.
Yeah, now we got a podcast.
We got a podcast. I know it's going to be successful, and then we have the videos we've done together. Which our Antifa one. Did I tell you it recently passed 1 million hits?
You didn't tell me that. That's cool.
It recently hit.
Yeah, check it out. Which one is that?
Trolling Antifa.
Trolling and
then
Antifa
Trolling
rally.
Pride March is 200,000 away from 1 million, and then the Women's March, which you weren't as involved with, is at like 1.4 million.
That's a big one.
That one actually was blowing up again the other day. Like it keeps on blowing up.
You talked about something. Another reason that I really admired you about standing your ground. Like if someone's like, I stand by this belief. Like picking and choosing your battles.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I still do that a lot.
That
sometimes I'm like, it's just not worth.
It's your core values. Like pick your fights. Pick what hills you're gonna die on.
Right.
Like if someone's getting into me an argument about, oh man, what's something I don't care too deeply about? Like I don't know.
You could probably what's something I don't care a lot about? Like conspiracy theories.
Sure.
Like, people are like, this stuff, Earth's flat. Like, I'm not gonna get like, I'm just like,
or even ones that have a little more like weight, like JFK assassination.
Yeah, like that stuff is like, I'm not like, I'd listen and be like, okay, what do you have to say? But like, I'm not gonna take you that seriously, and I'm also not gonna like get all hyper about it, and it's just kind of like whatever.
But like, freedom of speech is a huge one for me. Like, that's it's your convictions. And like, if someone tries to, not even infringe, but like attack like your convictions, like I'll die on that hill, man. Like, pick your
no one's fucking
pick
with
your
my
battles.
free speech.
And it again going back to, like if you act more calm and then you get angry about something, don't die on every hill, man. Like you can't, because then no one's gonna take you seriously if you're just fighting tooth